Welcome back to Movie Nerds, folks. Today is Tuesday, and I was trying to get this review out as
No,
last
today's
week, but
Monday.
today's Monday.
Yeah.
Monday. Today's on this episode, we are going to review the HBO new series, The Last of Us. Come join us. My name is Tom. I'm your host. This is going to be just right now, right off the bat. We're going to talk about The Last of Us, the first two episodes, episode 1 and episode 2. I think the episode 1 is, what's the title of episode 1? I
Hang on a
forgot what
sec.
it's called. The second episode is called Infected.
Yeah.
Let's see.
First is When You're Lost in the Darkness.
Yeah, When You're Lost in the Darkness. That is the very a very one of the important quotes in the video games, now in the show, I guess you can say. So The Last of Us is an adaptation from a video game, a very famous video game called The Last of Us. I played The Last of Us. I loved it. It's one of the best narrative storytelling video games out there. Now, people will say it's the best ever. Clearly, they have not played Metal Gear Solid. That is the best, in my opinion, storytelling in a video game. But needless to say, this was an awesome game. The game itself. Have you played it, Dave? Oh, by the way,
No, I haven't.
Dave is here. My
Yeah,
my co-host.
I'm here.
You never played it?
I never played it. So
Never played it.
I knew very little, if
So-
not nothing, about the story.
So I'm kind of jealous because I'm watching it and I can
Are you
being the-
critiquing it based
not,
on
not,
the
not critiquing it, but like
Okay.
I can tell you what's in the game and what's not, and what
Oh,
some of the stuff they change. And there are some that they change, and I think the change is for the better, because it is kind of weird to go you know mirror the the exactness of the game, because you're also playing as the character, so you're doing other stuff, and so it makes sense they change certain things, and so. But I'm kind of jealous that people who haven't really seen the game yet, or played the game, and they're watching the show from
yeah.
like,
So I'm getting this fresh.
yeah.
It's a fresh story for me.
So
Not tainted by anything.
before we get started, I am going to give a warning out there. This will be a spoiler alert, and so if you haven't seen the show, please, I would recommend you watch the show, and then come back and watch our thoughts and reviews and feelings about this series. I think it has, how many episodes is it? Like 8 or 9
Oh,
episodes?
I don't know. Is it 9?
There's 9 episodes in season 1. Season 2 will be coming up. I wonder how they're going to end it. I wonder if they're going to finish season 1 as the game itself, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to.
What, if you can tell me without spoiling any of the future
Okay.
episodes, what did they change in these 2 episodes from
these
the
2
game?
episodes. Okay, well, let's talk about it. We'll go
Okay.
there. We'll go about the changes and stuff first. Let's get your thoughts on what you think of the first 2 episodes. What were some of the strong points, and what were some things that you really enjoyed, and something that maybe you didn't enjoy, Dave?
So the first thought was, why is this starting in 1968? And the second was, why is this taking place in 2003? And then they jumped 12 years later. So it makes sense to kind of set up this post-apocalyptic world that we're facing, and then it gives you some background as to what's infecting people. And personally, I don't know. It's cool, but I guess I'm like, if this scientist in the beginning, he explains that if the planet warms a few degrees and these funguses evolve, then they can survive in a human body, because right now they can't. And my thought is, if it warms a few degrees, there's going to be a lot more issues than this. I mean, and I don't know if they're going to show any of that. Like, there'd be flooding issues, there'd be droughts in different places. So my thought is it just going to focus on this fungus or are they going to show? It's just going to focus on the fungus thing. Okay, so all right, that's cool. I'll suspend
You do
reality for the
know
rest of it.
you do know the fungus is real.
Yes.
This
Yep.
fungus is an actual
Yeah, it's
fungus
the
that
zombie
does
fungus. Yeah.
that does inhabit an ant, and it grows out exactly the way it is explained in the, and well, keep going. What are your
So the
thoughts?
first episode, it's kind of focused on the daughter. What's her name? Sarah.
Yes.
Pedro Pascal's. What's that character's name? Um,
Joel,
Joel's daughter,
Joel's
Sarah.
daughter, Sarah.
It's good. So the first episode, first part of the first episode, I should say, kind of focuses on her, and then they kill her off pretty quick. At least that's what they depicted. I can't imagine that character survived
No,
12 years and him not knowing. So
no,
his
she's
daughter's
dead.
dead, and that's got to impact him
Mm.
for the rest of his life. I like that they gave like little hints, almost too on the nose. A couple of them, like there's the combat veteran sticker on his truck,
Yeah,
or was that Tommy's truck? I don't know.
it was Tommy's.
Okay, but I mean, obviously they're prepped for things.
Yeah, Tommy comes.
So
He comes into play later. Very important character.
okay, because I thought, and this is jumping episode 2. I thought that was him at the end of episode 2
No,
that
we
came and
don't.
infected. What's her name?
No. We don't
Oh,
see
okay,
him.
that
We
wasn't
don't.
him. Okay,
Yeah, we don't see him till later on, like later.
okay. So I thought they set up the characters really well, especially not knowing anything about the video game. The episode 1 gives you a good backstory, and then it gives like little hints to their motivation in this post-apocalyptic, the martial law world that they're living in. This I don't know what FEDRA stands for, federal I don't know, disaster recovery
Yeah,
agency or something like
something
that.
like that.
It's like a play on FEMA.
Basically.
Um, but this federal agency is running everything, and there's some rebellious people. There's a rebellion or a revolution. I don't know. So yeah, episode was good. Set up the characters. What didn't I like? Is there anything I didn't like about episode 1? I'm having a hard time finding things that I don't like because I'm just so kind of invested in learning what this story is, investing in these characters, and curious to see where they're going with it. And then that takes us to episode 2, and episode 2 begins with
let's stick with episode 1 first.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So I'll tell you some of the things they change. Some of the things, one of the things they change is the violence. So in episode 2 does come into play. We'll talk about it in a minute. But you remember in the end of episode 2, Tess tells them we need to redo the wrongs that we did. And you know Joel and Tess is not a good person.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
So they kind of get a glimpse of they're very violent people, and they did a lot of terrible things to get where they're at. And in the game itself, this is the difference. It's in the game, you actually goes on a mission and to kill people. So in here, they don't do that. They kind of hang on his sorrow or his losing his daughter as the narrative of him being the person that he is. Later on, you'll find out why he did all these things. You can tell in the first episode, like, you get the first scene to Boston, that little boy, he didn't even care for, like, he looked at the boy, he just tossed him in the fire. Like he has no conscience or
there's no remorse, there's no
for
anyone.
Yeah, he's done with humanity in that sense, and now he's just trying to find his brother. The other thing they changed is Sarah. They gave her a little bit of backstory. In the game, you don't get much time to spend with her, like what's going on. So the way they did is, if you listen to the radio while they were having breakfast in the first episode, the virus or the fungus came from Indonesia. In the game, is from Africa, South Africa.
Oh, okay.
So that changes a lot. And but everything else was actually pretty on point. They made the flour, which I thought was interesting, because every single in the episode 1, I told my wife, like, interesting that everything is like there's almost in every scene that the daughter was in the beginning had to do with flour. Oh, we don't have any more pancake mix, the
Oh yeah,
flours, the biscuit the old lady was eating, didn't want to eat it,
because
and come to find out it's because the flour is the cause. I think to me, the flour is the cause of the
oh
fungus
yeah. Didn't they mention that in episode 2? There
in
was
episode two.
yeah,
Yeah, so
kind of a
we get
catalyst for its growth.
so we get Agent X in that sense if it's the flour, and so I love episode one. Episode one to me is the second, if not second or third best pilot debut. If you know me,
So
many of you,
it would be the top two or the top one.
Lost would be my number one.
Okay.
Lost is excellent, and House of Dragon,
Okay.
the
Okay.
debut so far, and
Okay.
so um, I would put it with 24 because 24 was awesome.
It's pretty good. I never
Yeah,
watched 24.
24 is my favorite.
Awesome.
It's so good.
Okay.
But anyways, so I love this. I love episode one. I love how it's set up. I love the acting perfection.
Yeah.
The beginning of the episode, it has you hooked because of how they set up the conversation with the two doctors
Mm-hmm.
talking about fungus and how could they evolve and this. To me, if you don't hook me, any show that doesn't hook you right off the bat, I think it
Like
has
in
a
the
hard
first 5, 10
first
minutes.
minute. I think the show could still be good because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes shows, people, oh, you have to watch the first 3 episodes and it kicks up. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, but a show like this, it hooked me from the beginning, and I play the game, and
That's
I know,
good. That speaks
and
volumes to it.
that
Yeah.
speaks volume because it's look for those who haven't seen the fact that I knew that Sarah was going to die, and I knew it
I
was
had no
coming.
idea. Yeah, I had no idea.
I knew it was coming. My wife, I don't. She see me play the game, but I don't know if she remember that part. She cried, and even for me playing the game, I got a little bit emotional. It had a lot of tension and emotional part in that scene, man. Like especially
Yeah.
you and I, we both have daughters,
Yeah.
and even though I knew it was coming,
Yeah.
and I dreaded. I was like, oh man, no.
And
And,
I liked how they brought that back full circle at the end of the episode. That
yeah,
was that was cool.
yeah.
That was intense.
So so now we get Joel trying to figure out how to get to, to get to see to find Tommy. You got to get the
And
battery
they're
and all
looking
that
for a
stuff.
truck battery or something like
Truck
that. Yeah.
battery. I don't think they were looking for the battery in the game. It was something else. I don't think it was bad, but it doesn't really
Oh,
matter.
okay.
They were trying to
Yeah.
get out of that place, and so
And they introduced Ellie.
Ellie, who was infected. Now all that was correct in the game. She was captured by the what do they call those people?
I
The
can't remember.
Firefly or
Yeah, Firefly. I think that's what
Firefly
it is. Yeah.
something. I don't remember what it's called, but the Tommy is Tommy is part of that group, but
Okay.
he's further out somewhere in the forest. Well, at least in the game, he was. I shouldn't be telling you. Spoiler. But guys, it is first episode, gorgeous. Cinematography is beautiful. Everything was just perfect. I could not find anything that was wrong with that with this debut of this episode, the pilot episode.
Yeah, I
I
thought
think
it
it
was
was
good.
Elliot, or is it Ellie?
Ellie.
Uh, in the game, she is a little different. The way they portray her in the show, she's different than the show,
Okay.
than the game. She's a
So on the
little.
show, she's pretty sassy. She's very confident, almost overconfident.
No, she's a little bit more. She has that sassiness, but she was also has a little. She was more timid. This
Okay.
one is more like
Yeah, very confident,
very
very
confident, very
almost overconfident, like
yeah, like
cocky.
cockiness and stuff like that. In the game, she's not like that. She's a little bit more timid, and she understands that there's like there's certain situations that she's in that she's like, okay, I gotta listen to these people, and this. Sometimes she didn't listen to that. In the show, she's a little bit different. Joel, Pedro Pascal can do no wrong. I think he's great in this, and so
He can do no wrong.
he's gonna be Mandalorian's coming out in March, and this
Yeah.
he's He's having the time of his life acting, and so episode you get him going. They finally meet with the Firefly. They say, look, if you go, that scene didn't happen that way in the movie. No one died in that scene. No one raid. Nothing happened like that. I think they
Okay.
did that just to be more intense, and I think it's good for the show. I think it gives you a little bit more like this is real. There's more at stake, and these aren't just people that they would kill people to get what they want to do, what they
Hmm.
need to do to get to their goal. And so they decide that's true. They they made a deal that they would do this to get her there, and then you get them getting out. Now the ending of the episode one, he didn't punch the guard. That didn't happen.
That didn't happen in the
That
game.
didn't happen in the game.
Okay.
They had to fight through the guards and kill a lot of guards, but it is so perfect to give Joel this opportunity. Like you said, it comes back. There's a 180 back to that scene, and it gives him, and it gives a glimpse of he has anger. He
Yeah, he's
has
still 12 years later,
12
still
years,
has anger. Yeah.
and he's a dangerous guy, and so
Yeah.
he can hurt people, and so and his reasoning, I'm a father, I can see why, and so I can see it.
Yeah.
So episode one's great. Let's talk about episode two. Um, what you think of episode two?
It I thought it was good. I don't know. I'm really just having a hard time like trying to pick things apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um and just kind of enjoying
Well,
the ride.
talk about the good stuff. What did you like about it?
Yeah, so I like I think the acting is great. I like the character interaction
Mm-hmm.
and the character development. Um Tess, so we already gave the spoiler warning, but Tess dies in this, and I think it was I like the way they did it, but it was they did kind of set it up. They showed their hand a little bit. She was like immediately after that interaction with the infected in the museum wherever they were. Immediately after that, her emotional state has changed, and I'm
Well,
like, oh, she got bit. Like
yes,
she's
yeah.
gonna die. But they were I like that they were legitimately concerned about Ellie having been bit before, and watching her, making sure when she slept that she made it through the night, and then she gets bit again, and then they're watching her again. um
Well,
and they showed how fast the fungus will grow in the human
yeah.
body, and I liked that, how they showed that with Tess, and then they compared the two characters, like, let's see your bite, like, I'll show you mine, show me yours, kind of thing. And then so that set up that this is fast moving, it moves fast, it works fast. And so Ellie's like got this legitimate immunity to it, so that's gonna kind of carry the story along, I think. um I'll say, like, I like that
Mm-hmm.
they've been around, they know it's been 12 years since the outbreak, so they know how to operate. But Ellie's still like kind of learning all of this, even
Mm-hmm.
though she's had some interaction with some infected. I think that they could have drew a little bit more on that and made
Well,
that a little more impactful. Because I
it
mean,
will. It
the
will.
yeah,
It will.
okay. But like the one interaction she had, like, it's like she knew nothing about it, and they get into that museum and they're like, okay, we're silent from now on. And she was like, what's going on? I don't understand. um so I would have liked to see that a little bit, her have just a little bit more knowledge, but I think for the audience sake that needed to be explained.
Well, no, I don't. The thing is, well, there's a backstory how she got bit, and it will come into play. It will show you how she got bit the first time.
Okay.
It will explain everything. Um, for me, of course, I already knew Tess was gonna die, so I'm sitting there. I was like, I think second episode is even better than the first, to be honest.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
because I feel like the way they portray the entire episode, it's not exactly like the game at all. Like there are elements in there that it is. She Tess has a backstory that the director decided not to put in there, and
Hmm.
that she had a family, and that they were infected, and that she was forced to kill her husband and her kid, but she couldn't kill her kid, so she trapped the kid in the room. So like if you look at the story, the beginning of the episode, you see Ellie laying there like a cocoon, like the sunlight
Hmm.
beaming on her.
Yep.
It's like a little bit like a foretelling that she's the savior of this world type of thing.
Right.
And then you have Joel and Tess watching her the whole time. And I think at the beginning, this whole thing was not about Tess. It was more like Joel always having an eye on Ellie. Tess is converted. And what I mean by that is she believes in Ellie, the fact that she still hasn't turned and she was bit over 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's an element of her that see, I feel like if they would have put that backstory in her character, it would have made more sense when she came out of that museum and she's like, "Holy cow, I got bit, but we need to hurry because she is for real." Like she at that moment she knew that Ellie is actually the
Yeah, this
saving
is real.
grace.
Yeah.
This is that she's real, that she can save this world, that she can change the tides, to for the human race to be better or to get better. And so I think that backstory would have made it even more impactful and
Hmm.
more
Yeah.
powerful because in the game you don't know, they gave you a little side story, but they don't tell her that much what's going on with her and stuff. And so I thought that change was really good. I thought the way they did that. I love the clicker, the infected
The
clicking.
sound of the clicking, is that from the game? They have
Beautiful,
that in the game.
perfect, exactly like the
Okay.
game, exactly like the game, and it
It's
looks
intense.
nasty,
Yeah,
intense.
they look gross.
And what this whole 2 episode to me, the tension that they put into it to make you feel like, oh crap, you're sneaking around. It's there, man,
Yeah.
and you in it, and you're like, okay, is anything gonna come around to all this and this, and so
Yeah. And being new to this story, um, I appreciated kind of the some of the exposition, especially in the museum when there was the infected walking around,
uh-huh,
where he doesn't like he mouthed what he was trying to explain to Ellie, like they can't see, but they can hear.
there.
And he mouthed that, and that wasn't explained beforehand.
No, it
And
wasn't.
I appreciated it in the moment
Yeah.
that they didn't have to like do that beforehand, so the audience
Hmm.
they put their faith in the audience that they could pick up on the hand gestures.
Yeah. And so I love the second episode. I love well, here's something that was different in the game was in the beginning, so they got out of the museum, and then that shot when they look into that gold building in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly from the game. It looked
Okay.
beautiful. The effects of this Boston looks gorgeous. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is the way they explain the infected. It's not like in the game. It's not like that. Like how she said that they're all connected, and
Yeah.
that if you that's something new that they decided to put in there because, and it makes sense because they want that to be the threat. The main threat to humankind is these people are being connected, and humankinds aren't connected like the
Right.
fungus, and the
Yeah.
fungus are connected. And they work as one. It's a metaphor. Like eventually, the human has to work
They're gonna
all at
have to
once,
start working together. Yeah.
and so they threw that in there. That's not how it works. The infected work in the game is different. The other thing they changed that I thought was okay. I'm okay with it, but um, when they were in the first episode when they were escaping that place, they ran into a bunch of guards, right? And they were fighting and
Yeah.
killing them. Well, those guards later on comes to that same building and there's a shootout. In the show, there's none of that. In the show, it's just they're all fighting because one of them got infected,
Yeah.
and so they kind of like skip the part, change that because it makes sense if you're gonna explain that that the infected are connected, even the
You have to show
ground,
it. Yeah.
even the ground. So they show that the thing, the light, they all waking up, they're coming towards that. And so I thought that was fine. I didn't mind that change at all. I think it makes sense to go with that, to go that route. And so and Tess dying. I liked the character, man. I thought she was the cool headed, character that keeps him in line.
Yeah.
And you can tell there's that tension. They both love each other, but it's just kind of like the timing was never right for them to be together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I can't find anything wrong with this show.
Yeah.
I think it's so good.
It's really good. It's
It's
really
really
good.
now people have asked me, is it better than House of Dragon? And I said, I don't know. House of Dragon is more the like the politics that I love, but this is like I played the video games. More is coming.
This is a very personal story, I think. Personal to Joel, and we'll see what happens to Ellie. You probably know more playing the game, what they have in store, but
Oh yeah, there's
yeah,
other
it's an
characters coming.
individual story.
Every other characters coming in is going to be awesome. There's some cool characters coming in.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited to see what happens with Tommy. Like he seems, just from that first episode, he seems like he's got his head like wrapped around. Was he the combat vet? It was
I
his
think
truck in
I
in the
think it was
beginning.
him. I think it was
Okay.
both of them.
Are they both
I
combat
think that
vets?
yeah, I think
Which
so.
makes complete sense. Um,
They
but
handle the
yeah,
gun pretty well.
Tommy's ready to pull the trigger when it needs to
Yeah.
happen. Like we saw
Yeah.
that in episode 1 in the beginning. So yeah, I'm excited to see where that character comes in and what he's gonna do to further the story.
This makes me want to play the game again. Like go back and play.
What console is it? PlayStation?
Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation. You can play it on there. And so, I don't see anything wrong with this show so far. Everything that they changed, I have no issue with. I think is you can't do. Yeah, it's an adaptation of the game, but you can't do, you know, the exactness of the game. It doesn't make any sense to do
Yeah.
that way. You have
Yeah, it's a
narrative.
different medium.
Yeah, and narratively and the way it flows, you have to change certain things. And what they did was incredible. Guys, if you haven't seen Chernobyl, I think that's the show. Chernobyl,
Chernobyl, yeah, it's an
these
HBO series,
yeah,
isn't it?
and Chernobyl is a great show.
I have to
And
watch that one. I haven't seen that one.
and these are the same people who did that show. So you get the
Okay.
glimpse of how the tone and the environment that they put out is Chernobyl is the same thing. And so it's these guys are doing the right thing. I'm excited for this series. I kind of wish they would drop it just drop the whole thing because
So you can binge it.
Yeah, I just my wife's into it. Like she's into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she watches it and she's got hooked. I think it's because it's relatable to a certain
Yeah.
extent. This is something that
Yeah.
I mean, are we ever gonna get taken over by fungus?
We don't know.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not.
So
But-
the opening scene of episode 2,
It's so good.
it was great.
Oh, good,
It
wasn't
was
it?
great.
And I love the fact
the autopsy that she was
Yeah.
doing. I was like, it reminded. So I don't know if I've ever shared this on any podcast before, but we lived in a mortuary for a while.
yeah,
Did I share that on this?
we talked about it. I think
Did we? Yeah. So we lived in the mortuary, and I would do pickups. I'd pick up bodies. They call them first calls because the mortuary is the first place they call when someone is deceased. So have the body on the table. I was like, I mean, that's as real as it gets.
Yeah.
that's how it is if they're going to do an autopsy.
Nothing gets you. I was like, the acting in this is incredible. And and by the way, the other thing that they changed, instead of 2000, this takes place in 2000 what 2003,
2003 is the outbreak. Yeah.
In the game, it takes place 2013, and then 12 years later is 2020 something. So
Okay.
so it's a different time. They changed the time in this.
So
I'm
they
not
made
sure
it
why.
to be more contemporary.
Yeah. In fact, if you look in the first episode, in her room, there's a bunch of posters. Those are all like a 2003 band, and in sync and all that. So it's kind of like pretty interesting.
Yep.
Let me go back to the acting. I love the fact that they kept the language in their language.
Yeah.
And we have to read the subtitle. I love that. The acting of that lady, that doctor, is incredible. We were sitting there, and the dude asked, "What can we do? We
She's
call
like,
you
bomb.
Bomb."
Yeah.
I am like,
Oh,
and it's not the fact that she said bomb at this whole entire
The
city.
whole city.
She's part of the city. When she said, I'm gonna go home and be
I
with
just
my
want to be with my
family,
family.
she knows that she can't get away from this, that they will bomb this. That is so chilling. I had goosebumps just while I was like, holy cow. She knew
Yeah.
exactly that there's no cure for this and that the only way to do it is bomb. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what a way to start the show.
Yeah, now that you talk about it, give me chills. But there was a long shot,
Yeah.
like a really long shot in that interaction. I was like, this is intense.
And it wasn't even like heavy dialogue. It was just she like when she says, "Is there any other people that's missing?" And when he said 14, her hand just shook, and she's like, "Oh
Yeah, we're
no,
screwed.
we're
We're
screwed."
screwed.
And the only result is bomb. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, how?" Look, I don't know how my father-in-law. Okay, God bless his heart. Uh, he watches it. He said, "I can't get into it. It's not that good." I'm like, "What
What?
are you watching? Are you kidding me? The acting. This is top notch
Oh yeah. It's
entertainment here. It's
great.
like,
They did a great job.
oh
The
man,
casting was really on point for
oh
this
my
series.
gosh.
Um, what was I gonna ask?
Sorry,
So is this a zombie story? Is it a zombie series?
it's a zombie, but no one calls it a
No one's gonna
zombie.
call it
They're
zombies,
gonna call it infected. The infected. Now, remember that
but they're
conversation?
zombies.
I mean, they're zombie, yeah,
Yeah.
basically. But did you see that conversation they had? Oh, I when they were walking and they say, I heard that there's an infected that throws.
Oh, that
Um,
spores.
yeah, that's coming up.
Oh,
There is.
really?
Yeah, it's funny. It's cool the way the gameplay is kind of funny. But yeah,
Okay.
there's one like that. And so, the other thing that they change is like you know how when Joel goes and he hits one of the thing before going into the museum and
Yeah.
it's dry as a
It's
bone.
dry. Yeah.
Well, in the game, you can actually you can get infected by breathing in the air, but in
Oh,
here they kind of got rid of that. They say no, we don't need to do. We're
there
just
has to be a physical contact.
must be a physical contact, and so
Yep.
because in the game, Ellie in one of the scene they go in underground and they have to wear masks, but she doesn't wear masks because she doesn't get
Oh, because
infected.
she's immune. Yeah.
And that changes Joe's perception of her in the game. Here, it changes his perception when Tess said, "Look at my thing and look at
And
her
look at
bite."
hers. Yeah.
Like you were saying, they compared kind of see my bite, see her bite, and that changes perception of her. Like, oh crap! And then she said, "My favorite line: you save those who you can." What did she say? Save only those you can.
Save who you can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
something
like that.
like that. Yeah.
What a great line. It is so true. And so that quote right there will be something that hang over Joel up until going forward because he's gonna try to save Ellie because something's gonna happen to her in the I'm not gonna say it. We're just gonna
Yeah, keep the
it's just
spoilers until we see it.
anyway, folks. Anything else? Episode 1, 2. We're gonna do this
Oh, that's
weekly.
good.
We have to do this weekly.
Okay.
And the only reason why I didn't do it because I was like, oh man, I just had so many things going on with my son's birthday. And so, folks, if you have any comment, if you tell us what did you think of the show, what you think of the acting, did you think this is something for you to continue to watch? Because if you're not watching this show, I'm not sure what's in your head. No, comment
There's
down
no
below.
also there's nothing else to watch.
Oh, there's plenty to watch. I could give you plenty of show to watch. You guys want to watch Jack Ryan? That is a very good
Okay,
show.
all right, all right.
Jack Ryan season 3 is really good. Go watch it, folks. I finished it maybe 3 days ago, and so sad there won't be a fourth
But
one.
that one you can binge that one, right?
Yeah, you can binge that one.
There
So
you go.
there's plenty of things to watch, man. Go. There's a Megan. I heard that's really good.
Well, it's I mean that was a movie, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm sure you can, go get out of the house for a little bit. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we're gonna be back next week. We're gonna try to do this I'm gonna try to put this out every Wednesday. So we'll do it on a Tuesday, on Monday after the episode, and I'll put it out on Wednesday. But we'll come back next week when we do episode 3. We're gonna see where they're taking us. I mean, I know where they're going, but I want to see if there's any changes in there. And so let us know down below what you think of the show so far. I mean, I think this is a great show. By the end of this season, I might put this better than House of Dragons. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
House of Dragon is a great show. And so, anyways, folks, until next time, be kind.